Well, I'm now being joined by economist, due process advocate, and public affairs analyst, Dr. Katch Ononuju, for an analysis of the likely economic impact of the changes at NNPCL and those two constitutional situations in Kogi and Rivers State. Good to have you on This Day Live, Dr. Ononuju. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Dr. Ononuju, you came late. We made it clear that this program will start 4 o'clock on the dot. Okay? So I complained before your arrival. Next time, please, let's keep to time. But quickly. Hello? I'm listening.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. But,
yes,
yeah.
I'm here with you.
Okay. But very quickly, let's start with NNPCL. Changes there. The president has just changed the board. And there have been many reactions. Some people say, oh, these are technocrats. Some people say, oh, these people will make great changes. But what do you think?
Well, I would say the NNPC of today will be the most challenged because it is at a place where we've never been before, at a point where the government is removing its intrusive behavior in the energy market. So we will now have an NNPC that will be able to march and regulate a brand new market where there is no government intervention in what you call subsidy. It was a very good thing subsidy went. For me, I think that's the greatest economic achievement we have gotten to in the past 24 years, removing government's obstructive intrusion in the energy market. So now going forward, of course, you have a behemoth in Dangote, and he's already come home, and he has now started local refining of crude. NNPC, are they ready? I don't think so. So probably what they might have to do is to liberalize the local market and allow competition to stay. Dangote is a historical player when it comes to commodities. We've seen what he did in the cement business. And here you need local competition for us to hold Dangote because he may not change who he is before. He could drive down prices and then get everybody out of the competition way and then go on to lock the market for himself. And that would not be a good thing for the economy. So I believe more than any time, NNPC should be available to guide and drive a competitive local energy market where Dangote will be manufacturing, and that is his distillation, refining. And other people also in the market should also be able to have a free hand. We should not allow any anti-competitive moves by Dangote to stifle competition in the market. And I think this is where the problem is. NNPC of today has to be an NNPC that must police the behemoth that is Dangote refinery. Because the more we can get it better, the better for the economy. Because if you just have a Dangote alone doing what he knows how to do best, playing the monopoly, it will not be good. Not only for this country, it will also not be good for the sub-region. Because what happens in Nigeria impacts the economy of the Sahel. And I believe this is what it is. And I believe NNPC is strong going forward. NNPC has acquired Owandu retail, and basically everything I see NNPC do now, nothing happens in Abuja except it's retail. So how would it now drive competition and then regulate the retail aspects of the petroleum business with Dangote there, who is such a monstrous player, who already is on the ground with his own refining capabilities, which have so much quality that his products are now being sought after in the Americas and across the world. So I believe neither he has some very great product to sell, NNPC has to be up and doing. It shouldn't be the old NNPC, no. So if you call them technocrats, they better be market savvy. they better be strong people in anti-competitive ways, because that's what we must watch out against. Dangote's tendency to be an anti-competitive behemoth.
Okay, Dr. Ononuju, you mentioned competition. You mentioned Dangote. The immediate thing that people will talk about is this Crude for Naira program that we're supposed to have in place. It looks like it's not working. And now we're being told that the pump price of fuel has been increased to 925 Naira per liter by the NNPCL. What do you say to that? You know, these competition issues, the failure of policy, we, the ordinary people of Nigeria, are the ones suffering as a result. How do we make life better for us?
It is in the great interest of the Nigerian government and the larger interest of the Nigerian population that Dangote is giving crude in Naira. If that happens, he buys in Naira, then he would not have any reason not to sell in Naira. In that way, our Naira becomes very strong, and people will come here buying crude also in Naira. So let us not undermine that, because I know the problem they will have is some of them who are still importing finished product from the international market would say that what they are able to land is not what Dangote is selling. So that's what it should be. The most important thing in this particular regime should be make sure Dangote and all other local refiners get crude in Naira. So there will be no pressure on the dollar markets. If he gets crude in Naira and other people get crude in Naira, then they will also be expected to sell their finished product in Naira, and that way the Naira will become much stronger. So if you look at the larger import of that policy on the economy, on the strength of our market, then you have to understand that the most important thing the government must do is make sure that Dangote and other local refiners buy crude from the government in Naira, and in that way we will have then the very strong moral fiber to demand from him that he sells his finished product to Nigeria and all the players in the market locally here in Naira. That way we'll strengthen our currency and we'll strengthen our economy. You know what they say? The strength of economy kind of mirrors the quality and the strength of your economy. So for us, strengthening the Naira should be the number one thing. And the easiest way to do that is make sure that product that affects everything in terms of pricing, which is crude, gets out there to Dangote and other local refiners in Naira, so that they would not have any story to tell us that they cannot sell their finished products in Naira to whoever wants it in this economy.
Okay, Dr. Ononuju, very quickly, since we started with NNPCL, this new board that is in place, led by Engineer Bayo Ojulari, people have been saying, look, this is a board of technocrats. Even the chairman, Ahmed Musa Kida, has a lot of experience. These are persons with cognate experience. These are people who have been in the industry. These are people who know where the corpses have been buried. What will you say should be the priorities for them now that they have taken over? And what will be your comment about the constitution of that new board of the NNPC? Briefly, because there are two other subjects that I would like to
because
discuss.
Because of the challenges that the Tinubu administration does have in the issue of perception, I believe the constitution of that board should be very, very inclusive, so that we do not have a continuation of the old weaponized board that Buhari set up. In that, I say his weaponization of nepotism was very, very glaring in his composition in the energy markets, most especially NNPC. So I believe Tinubu should use this opportunity to compose an inclusive NNPC. The board is just the beginning. There are other outliers and other players, other arms of NNPC that when they are appointed, make sure that our diversity is reflected in their competition so that the charges of nepotism being levied currently against the Tinubu administration, it's lessened. I do not think Tinubu can fight the old devils by simply playing a triumphalist ethnic platform. No, he needs to build a platform that's inclusive of our diversity, and that, I believe, is the number one thing. Never mind, don't use the rhetorics of technocrats and you say you would not respect diversity, because no matter what it is, the technocratic way of the board's operation is something that could be a mission statement, but including Nigerians from diverse spaces. I saw something I was reading before I came here, people complaining that Buhari's business in constructing things about gas did not respect the people from where this gas comes from. I'm aware the largest gas field in Africa is in Imo State, but I don't see Imo State included in the National Gas Master Plan according to Buhari's own bill. These are the kind of things Tinubu must do away with. Let him build an inclusive board, whatever it takes.
Okay, doctor, I also know that most commentators on this subject have said, look, we can't fault this board. That these people, they know the space, they know the job, and that President Tinubu is placing emphasis on meritocracy, ability, capability, and that's why he has brought people together, you know, Musa Kida, Olawe, the managing director, and all of these people, because this is what they have done their entire lives. Austin Avuru, all these people, you can't say they don't know what the terrain is all about. But your point about inclusivity, national character, federal character, this is part of the problem with Nigeria. We think that every farmer, every vulcanizer from every village should be part of a special space that requires expertise. But I get your point. You know, that, okay, we should have somebody from Imo State. I'll check that list again, whether there's somebody from Imo State. But let's talk politics, very briefly. Rivers, let's go to Rivers. The sole administrator in Rivers now is saying he's presenting a budget. The people of Rivers State are panicking that this sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, that it looks like he just wants to take over this place and run a government that may even go beyond 6 months. What do you say? Does he have the constitutional powers to embark on all these projects, agriculture, this and that, you know, and collect money, even money that was restricted by the central bank? We are told by the Supreme Court, we have been told he has been given the money. Is that the objective of this restriction, state of emergency? What do you think?
Well, you're not talking about money. Don't forget, the guidance principle of the fight is money. When you see politicians scream and fight, if you bend underneath, it's money. Look at the Senate and all the noise you hear, they are fight and they could color it to sex, bend down, money is underneath it. And the issue in River State, I can tell you it's money. So what I will advise is, since the sole administrator has now started his job, we cannot stop him. He was brought there by the president simply because, in my calculation, the gladiators were not able to make peace. And if you and your brother do not want to make peace, you want to fight to the death, you will simply have outsiders come and claim your local inheritance. What I will advise the sole administrator is, yes, as he is doing what he's doing, he should meet the critical stakeholders. I am aware that when he talks to the presidency, as he says he will do, he will present his budget to Abuja, and when Abuja sees that budget, they will approve of it. Let him, before that happens, call the critical stakeholders from both the sides of the power factions in Rivers State, of both the governor and also the other people. Speak to them so that you know that whatever you calibrate as your budgetary demands must be something that also protects, one, existing contracts. That if you check in the United States, when Trump came in and said he's canceling everything, they went to court and they defeated him in court. The judges said, whatever it is you're doing, make sure you pay existing contractors. So in Rivers State, existing contractors who have been mobilized should not suffer because we now have an emergency situation. Let those people be carried along. Not only that, what are those things that were put in the budget by the previous administration that he now intends to put his own budget upon? Look at them. Those are the needs of the state. Since they say governance is a continuum, let us make sure that the demands of the state, as presented by its stakeholders, as was summarized in the budget, is also protected. Now, what's the difference in that? The court said, take this budget that you want to now implement to the House of Assembly. So let it be the same budget, or rather the same parameters of demands and characters that are infused in it. Bring them to Abuja, because that's what he's doing. Don't forget,
Doctor,
when Mr. Fubara left, yes.
Doctor.
I had not finished. I was going to tell you something.
Okay.
That when Mr. Fubara left 200 billion. Okay? Fubara left 200 billion in the coffers. So we know there was money left in the coffers when the administrator came. 200 billion plus all sorts of money and everything. The minute the announcement was made in Abuja, no vehicle was allowed to get out of the government house. No money come out of the government house. So all the money is still in government house and still in the government coffers are seen as assets of Rivers State. Those plus the one that will be approved by Abuja for the administrator should all be geared towards, one, paying contractors for existing contract, two, looking at what's already been captured in what's being budgeted, but now having that budget properly approved as he brings it to Abuja and Abuja approves it, and as he goes on, carry all the critical stakeholders in trying to do what the president said he should do until when we bring peace to bear in Rivers State. My advice is everybody should work with the administrator. He didn't bring himself to Rivers State because the gladiators couldn't make peace. That's why the president sent the administrator. Work with administrator, but administrator, please carry everyone along. As you're talking to the people on the left, also speak to the stakeholders on the right so that you bring them together. You are a middle arbiter and you're not part of the old fight and should never take sides.
Dr. Ononuju, you are into development economics, you are into public affairs. What we are hearing, and it's not hearsay, it's not gossip, is that in Rivers State, that there is a clandestine attempt to make sure that this 6 months, state of emergency is extended. And people have been mentioning Minister Wike's name as the person who is trying to make sure that after 6 months, there is a further extension. Do you have any information to that effect? And the revelation in some quarters that most of the persons who have been appointed by the sole administrator are Wike's persons, the personalities involved. Is that something you would like to comment on?
That is exactly the reason why I said earlier that whatever the administrator is doing, in order not to be seen to force opinions like you have just mentioned, he should carry along the interests of the various factions of the power elite in Rivers State. If now, as you're saying, and we hear that a lot of the people being appointed are people who are loyal to Wike, let it also be that in his second wave of consideration, that he considers people who are loyal to Sim Fubara. In that way, the state is seen to be brought together as he moves on. The sole administrator came from Abuja and cannot do anything if he wants our confidences that will be seen as being tailored or being pandering to one side. And that's exactly why, because administrator, whether he likes it or not, he came from Abuja. And Abuja is also known to be the people where Wike works as minister. And so he has to be doubly careful if he does not want people to continue to accuse him of what would they accuse him of. And that's why I say, whatever he does, carry along the members of the stakeholders from the side of Fubara, the governor, as you also carry along those who now the speculation says are loyal and aligned to Wike's faction or the power elite. So that's what it is for us to move forward. As for the issue of saying he will do more than 6 months, what the president said is that at the minute he sees that there is peace in Rivers State, that the man can end the state of emergency. If you ask me, I will tell you Rivers State today is at peace. If you ask me, I will tell you that there were no two fightings in Rivers State as was claimed before. I think the problem Rivers State had was whatever it is that was passed in the court here, the implementation of such judgments back home, just like when first the president invited the stakeholders here and then handed them the paper which was suspected to be mostly influenced by Wike's position. Well, it's one thing to hand a governor papers. It's another thing to have them be practically implemented when he goes on in Rivers State. And that's the problem. I know. Yes.
Dr. Ononuju, the main justification for the declaration of the state of emergency was that there was imminent danger in Rivers State, threat of the breakdown of law and order. You are saying Rivers State is at peace, but we're hearing that pipelines have been exploded and all of that. No. The federal government of Nigeria has, the resources to know if any part of Nigeria is in danger. And you are saying Rivers State is at peace. How is Rivers State at peace? Have you been there recently?
Ruben, I can tell you categorically that Rivers State today is at peace. I myself left Diobo in the past 48 hours, and I can say it again. If anybody knows that there is fighting or disturbances or clashes in any part of Rivers State, let that person say. What we had was this disagreement by the political gladiators. And then, before you knew it, we then had those calibrations in the morning, loud noises, and even the president made his declaration. But we also know that there are background negotiations. And some people say negotiations packed up, they couldn't continue. That's what it is. That's why they're called negotiations. They cannot be very smooth. So whatever background negotiations there are, we are appealing to the president as the father of the nation.
Okay, Dr. Ononuju.
Make sure that these negotiations are brought to end very quickly.
Dr. Ononuju, as we wrap up now, trying to manage time, your comment, briefly, on the issue between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senator Godswill Akpabio and the National Assembly and the decision of the court that, look, all the parties should just keep quiet for now and allow the court to, reach a decision on the matter before it. What do you think about this Kogi State crisis, as it were, or National Assembly crisis, as it were, involving sexual harassment and sitting arrangement and Senate President and a member of that Red Chamber? Briefly.
My own is that whenever you hear politicians making noise, don't just take the noise on face value. Cool down, check underneath. You'll see that there is money that is actually at that peak. I see the problem in National Assembly, that of interpersonal relationship that had gone sour. And why do I say that? It is very glaring that the Senate President was very kind, utterly too kind towards Senator Natasha. And I believe when she now was not able to maintain cordiality of relationship between herself and members of her committee, that was when that complaint came to the Senate leadership about what she was doing and she not bringing or retiring collections as was the customs. And when that complaint came and she was not able to still behave in terms of retiring collections, which she collected as the chairman of that particular committee. That's why she was removed from her chairmanship position. And out of trepidation of what will come ahead after that removal from that committee, she now started fighting. I think the fighting has gone on for too long. I believe the courts have done very well to sanction everybody to restrain themselves from the too much noise. I know very well that because the government is not very popular, anybody could see the Senate president as a low-hanging fruit that they can actually poke at and kick at when words like this come up. But I pity Senator Natasha because I think she will be the biggest loser in this. She will no more have the cordiality and trust of members of the Senate until the term of the Senate comes to an end, as far as Senator Bayo is at the very head. I think she should stop all those acrobatics all over the place, no matter what it is. Our society has its ways. We should stop the acrobatics for the sake of the institution of the Senate and find a way to move forward peacefully without too much noise.
On that note, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Ononuju, for joining us on this Live, this Sunday Talk Show.